Pluto stands out as one of the most enigmatic and puzzling celestial objects in our entire solar system. Until relatively recently, we only had a very limited amount of knowledge about this far-off world. It's remote, tiny, and extremely cold. There's a moon named Charon, and after that, was there anything else at all? And on top of everything else, it ended up being removed from the roster of official planets. Hello everyone! Welcome to our channel. This time, we have an abundance of fascinating material to explore. In the fairly recent past, the very first photographs of Pluto were beamed back by the New Horizons spacecraft. What intriguing discoveries were made? It certainly sounds fascinating, so let's take a closer look together. Let's get started. What we knew about Pluto before New Horizons. In 1930, a youthful astronomer at the Lowell Observatory, Clyde Tombaugh, carefully examined a series of photographs and noticed that one star was moving in a peculiar way. That star turned out to be Pluto. The name for this newly discovered planet was proposed by an 11-year-old girl named Venetia Burney, who lived in Oxford. She felt that the name Pluto, drawn from the somber ancient Roman deity of the Underworld, perfectly fit this far-off and icy world, which people at the time believed was immersed in endless darkness. From then up until the close of the 20th century, Pluto was regarded as the 9th planet of our solar system. In reality, researchers had noticed a number of strange traits about Pluto. One of these was the discovery that, although some scientists at first thought it was larger than Earth, Pluto's mass and size turned out to be exceptionally small, in fact, even less than our Moon's dimensions. Another point involved the striking irregularities in its orbital path. Pluto's orbit is tilted significantly with respect to the ecliptic, where most planets revolve. Also, in relation to Neptune, Pluto shows what is commonly known as a 3-to-2 orbital resonance. In other words, while Neptune orbits the Sun 3 times, Pluto completes 2 orbits. This intricate dance between the two planets can occasionally place Pluto closer to the Sun than Neptune is. For 20th century astronomers, that was viewed as a distinctly peculiar event. A third unique aspect of Pluto is its moon Charon, which was first spotted by James Christie in 1978. Until 2005, when astronomers identified 2 additional moons, Nix and Hydra, Charon was believed to be Pluto's only satellite. Charon's mass is about 12% of Pluto's entire mass. That ratio is exceptionally large for a satellite compared to its primary. For instance, our moon is only about 1.23% of Earth's mass. Because of this relationship, the mutual center of gravity between Pluto and Charon lies outside Pluto itself, and they both keep the same face turned toward each other at all times. For that reason, many scholars refer to these two bodies not as a planet and its moon, but as the Pluto-Charon double-planet system. All of these peculiarities ran counter to the accepted picture of the solar system that experts held back then. Why does Pluto possess such a comparatively large moon, and why does it follow this unusual orbit? How was this distant planet formed in the first place? No solid answers were found for any of these significant questions. How was the study of Pluto carried out? Pluto has always stirred a strong sense of fascination among astronomers. There was once a plan for Voyager 1, launched in 1977, to fly close to Pluto and observe it in detail. But the mission ended up switching focus to Saturn's moon Titan, so the chance to visit Pluto was lost. Over the following decades, Pluto continued to be studied mostly through telescopes, without direct exploration. In 1992, humanity made its first discovery of a Kuiper belt object, the small body known as Albion. After that, more similar objects and dwarf planets were identified, including Eris and Orcus, which are slightly smaller than Pluto. It became clear that there was more than a single object of that kind out in that region of our solar system. That finding was one among many reasons why, in 2006, the tally of recognized planets reverted to 8. Pluto was demoted to the status of a dwarf planet. We covered this topic in another video, which some of you may recall. talk of sending a new mission to Pluto began to pop up in the late 1990s. A project named Pluto Kuiper Express was planned, but in 2000, NASA canceled the launch. The renowned New Horizons spacecraft finally set off toward Pluto on January 19, 2006. In 2015, the probe approached Pluto and Charon, snapping photos from every angle as though it were a dedicated paparazzo. One difficulty in the mission was the deterioration of the data transmission hardware. Near Jupiter, New Horizons was able to transmit information at about 38 kilobits per second. But once it was at Pluto's orbit, the transfer rate slowed down drastically, to around 768 bits per second. If you wanted to post a handful of selfies on Instagram amounting to a few megabytes, it would take hours at that speed. It required over a year for all of the gathered Pluto data to finally reach Earth. If you ever told a NASA scientist that your internet is so slow it takes half a day to download a new game on Steam, they might get a good laugh out of it. A photo session with the Lord of the Underworld. At long last, the slow and tedious data transfer concluded, and high-resolution images of Pluto and Charon landed in researchers' hands. It wasn't possible to map every inch of these body surfaces in absolute detail. That's because the high-latitude regions were in the midst of polar night. Even so, the results were still quite remarkable. The Pluto that revealed itself to us appears to be a lonely gray wasteland, evoking a barren wilderness. However, it isn't quite as dim as experts once assumed. The sun in Pluto's sky is small yet still recognizable, and it's brighter than the full moon in the Earth's night sky. Even so, it's bitterly cold with no breathable air. This, yes, confirmed what we had pretty much expected. Among the most eye-catching features seen from space is a gigantic heart shape. We don't know if some love-struck alien we've never heard of doodled this on Pluto's surface, but it's drawn in a beautifully distinctive way. That heart was named the Tombaugh region. It extends about 990 miles in total span. The western half of this heart is called Sputnik Planitia. This plane appears brighter than the other parts of the Tombaugh region, and it's pretty much one of the solar system's premier skating rinks. It's extremely smooth, covered mainly by nitrogen ice. Not only does Pluto have a heart, it also has a large dark whale. It's a long expanse that strongly resembles the form of a whale. This feature has been named Cthulhu Macula. This peculiar birthmark on Pluto may have taken shape billions of years ago. Its blackish color comes from the abundance of tholins. Tholins are substances that form under cold conditions when nitrogen and methane react in the presence of solar radiation. They are thick and sticky, rather like crude oil or tar. Pluto also has a few other dark birthmarks. For instance, there are places named Morgoth, Balrog, Kroon, and Ala. People who love fantasy or mythology might crack a grin at those names. Most of them are strung together near the equator, in a chain that lies between the heart and the whale's tail. At this point, we still don't know much about the details of those blotchy areas. Among Pluto's mountainous regions, the Tenzing Montes and Hillary Montes stand out. They aren't very tall, with the highest part of the Tenzing Montes reaching under about 11,500 feet, and the Hillary Montes are lower still. They were named in honor of Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary, the first humans to conquer Mount Everest. Meanwhile, what sort of body is the moon Charon? It was found to differ greatly from Pluto. Pluto is coated in nitrogen ice, but Charon is covered in water ice instead. There is a suggestion, similar to Jupiter's moon Europa, that a genuine ocean might exist under Charon's surface. New Horizons spotted a massive birthmark near Charon's North Pole. It's a mostly circular area, dark red in color, almost like a blood stain. This feature was named Mordor. Could there be orcs, Nazgul, or even Sauron there? Even so, there's no reason to be envious. It's cold, dark, and obviously lacking any real atmosphere. Even orcs would end up feeling discouraged. The exact origin of Mordor remains uncertain. It's possible that Pluto once had a thicker atmosphere made up of nitrogen and methane, and Charon borrowed some of it. As the gases built up, they might have fallen as a sort of snow at Charon's poles, creating tholins. If that theory is correct, the south pole of Charon should have a comparable stain as well. But it was not captured in any images. Other parts of Charon are also named after famous works of science fiction and their creators. For instance, there are craters named for the last names of Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and Leia Organa from Star Wars, a dark patch called Gallifrey after the planet in Doctor Who, and Nostromo Chasma, named for the starship in Alien. Honestly, you could create an entire quiz for sci-fi enthusiasts just by using Charon's map. That brings our video for today to a close. Thank you all for watching. Thanks to New Horizons, we've gained extensive insight into Pluto and Charon. Yet it's not enough to answer every mystery. If another spacecraft heads out there, it will surely have many tasks to tackle. The first will likely be to map the parts that New Horizons couldn't capture. We can bet that plenty of astonishing discoveries are waiting for us. Please keep watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything exciting. So this is goodbye for now. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.